Welcome to the Group Answers Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Daniel. This is the weekly show designed specifically for pastors, disciple makers, group pastors, and small group leaders. Truly, we are created to help anyone with bottom line responsibilities for discipleship. Our goal is simple: to resource, train, and encourage you in the vital work of discipleship. This is the Group Answers Podcast. Let's do it. Welcome back to the Group Answers Podcast, and as always, I'm Brian Daniel, and I am here with a special guest today as a pretty much lifelong Georgia football fan. And it started, right around 1979, 1980 with the kid from Wrightsville, Georgia, and Herschel Walker really did the trick.
He was all right. He was pretty good.
He did okay. It was like someone stole Christmas when he left early, just by the way.
Yeah.
So David Pollack, ladies and gentlemen, three-time All-American, College Football Hall of Famer, former broadcaster, husband of Lindsay. Welcome to the Group Answers Show, David. It's really
cool
to have you with us today.
My favorite way you just described me was husband of Lindsay. That's my favorite. So I like that.
See, we go way back, don't we? All right. So you're on the road a lot. You've been given quite the testimony. Part of your background, of course, football is a big part of that story. You have dealt with, just like any of us have. But, when you live a public life and discouragement is kind of out there for everybody to see, that's unique. And so I think you have a unique perspective on a lot of things. So, not to draw too straight a line, David, but being a group leader can be a bit of a lonely journey. To carry a bit, it's overstating it maybe to say burden, but there's certainly a weight when you're taking on that level of leadership and, just discipleship. I mean, if you do it right, you're accepting that mantle of being the spiritual leader and shepherd to some extent and advisor as a group leader. So I would ask you just here as we start, what have you learned about perseverance that might be helpful to ministry leaders and group leaders that are out there listening?
Well, I think the cool thing about being a group leader is there's also a level of accountability that comes with it, right? Like you are held to a standard. There's accountability with the people that you're leading. There's accountability for you to read. There's accountability for you to shepherd, right? Like there's a lot of really good things that come with it. And I think too, when you're studying to teach, like I think you retain things better and you personalize things better. And I think when you have to teach them, it's harder, right? Like, so there's a lot of good things about it that these leadership roles exist and they push you to become a better version of you, which I think is fantastic. So perseverance is a tool that God uses. And I think it's something that God develops in us. It's something that he's continued to develop in all of us that we all need. Like we all have to be able to persevere. And I think the hardest thing about hard circumstances is can you consistently meet the standard? Can you consistently keeping on, right? To make it simple. But I think to have perseverance, it's very simple to me. It's like standards over feelings. Okay. Like I have a standard. This is who I am. This is what I am. Feelings don't matter, right? Like feelings come and go. Like I feel like this. I don't feel like this. I don't feel like I can do this. It doesn't matter, right? Like this is who I am. This is where my heart's beating for. I'm not going to accept less than this. And I think when you have standards and you keep those standards, that's how you persevere, right? Like you continue to be in a good place to make the right decisions, to make the right choices, because you know what you're accepting and what you're not going to accept in your life. So it's a great ability to be able to lead, and leaders have to have perseverance and not get frustrated when they're leading someone that doesn't want to be led, because we all have those in our lives too, where it's hard to push them, right? Like you feel like you're dragging them sometimes, and you need a fresh perspective, and you got to have that perseverance to continue to show up and do what God's commanded you to do.
Yeah, the standards versus feelings, I haven't heard it put that way before, but feelings, like emotions, are whimsical. Just like you said, David, they come and go. But to have that standard and really, well, not really, but in all reality, Scripture lays out. Paul talks about living a way worthy of your calling. And I think that's the standard that we're called to. That's really helpful and really good, because as a group leader, I think sometimes we do let the whimsy kind of get us, and we take the bait and we go on that ride. and we forget what our standards are and what that calling is. Regarding perseverance, let me ask you, like, what those moments when, in particular, when you're trying to pull someone along, like this idea or notion of leadership, what have you learned about? Is it just patience? Is it just staying on message? Is it a feel like a prayerful posture and feeling when you know when to up that intensity? Or do you not wait on intensity? I mean, I don't know you that well, but I know you well enough to know you probably don't wait on intensity. But what have you learned about like those when you're leading someone? What are those triggers or those methods that you've learned?
I think ways to relate. So first of all, you got to be consistent. You've got to be consistent. That's the number one thing. And I think the number two thing to me is like you've got to share your failures. Like we have a small group every week in our basement right over here. And every week, man, I'm going to bring up a couple of things in a parenting, in my wife, in my relationship with my wife, where I'm failing and where I need to apply parts of the message. Like I'm not perfect. I don't have this all figured out. I need you to understand that. Like we're pursuing this together. Nobody wants to follow a know-it-all, right? Like you have all the answers. That's fantastic. Like you can have all the answers, but you got to be able to live them out, right? Like, and that's the most important thing. So showing them that you're human, showing them that you have a need for God, like that you have a need to continue to chase, right? Like you need God's help consistently. So I think those are really, really important things, man. Like it's not a one size fits all either, dog. Like that's not the way life works. People aren't made the same. Thank goodness. How boring would this life be if we were all like me? Like it'd be too many ADD people, too many zoos all over the place, right? So I think it's awesome that when you find like leadership requires getting to know someone, it requires consistently showing up, and it requires like what do they have? What makes them tick? What are the areas where I can push back? I can challenge. What are the areas where I need to pull back a little bit? And so everybody's going to be different, and we've got to figure that out as leaders.
To be successful at what you just described is both being known, so that's trusted, but also to know. And so you have to be intentional about getting to know people so you know where those buttons are. I'm sure you would agree, particularly being, growing up in football.
Ask questions repeatedly. It's just like with your kids too, right? Like you need to know how they're feeling and what they're going through and what they want more of. You got to ask questions of that.
Well, so the book, Every Day Counts, Start Where You Are, Use What You Have, Do What You Can, is available now anywhere you buy books. So we'll get to more about that in a minute. But in that book, you have a lot to say about discipline and goal setting. So I would ask you, how does the character attribute of discipline, David, and the practice of goal setting play into your current life? And how would you apply this to group leaders and disciple makers? So two-pronged question. How have you seen that play out in your own life? And then how do we apply that in our ministry leadership?
Well, I mean, discipline's the foundation of everything. And listen, like you can't tell me you want something if you don't have the discipline to do it. You can't tell me you really want to go make a difference and you want to pursue God if you don't have the discipline to get still and to get with God and to read his word, right? Like that, those things have to go hand in hand. And so I think one thing about discipline, be selfish in the morning so you can be selfless the rest of the day. Like get in your word in the morning. Do the things in the morning that you need to get done, man. Like get your important stuff done so nothing comes up to get in your way. No distractions. Fatigue doesn't enter. I think that's one of Satan's favorite things, is to keep us distracted, right? And that's phones and all the jobs and communicate. All that stuff does a really, really good job of that. So we've got to be intentional. Your alignment directly affects your assignment, right? Like if you want to climb a mountain, it's one step at a time. But a lot of times you get to climbing and you get to the top of the mountain, that's the wrong mountain. I climbed the wrong freaking mountain, right? Like I'm supposed to be over there. So it starts with intentionality. And that's what we have to be every single day. The goal setting component, like we talk about this in the book a little bit, like text yourself the night before you go to bed. What are 3 things that are non-negotiable tomorrow? 3 things I'm going to get done. You can do a spiritual one, a friendship one, a family one, a business one. You can do whatever you want. Like just shoot yourself a text. The first thing you do in the morning, most of y'all, is look at your phone right away, right? And then I see my goals and I see my things that are going to be important. Like I think goal setting is great. I think long-term goal setting is great, but the most important thing about goal setting is today. Like, I have to win today to make those big goals come true down the road. And a lot of times I think people think they get all the information, they do all the goal setting, all the detailing, and they don't start. Like, you got to start, right? You got to start exactly where you are. And that's why I say goal setting for today. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. This is where I'm at. Like, I might want to get there, but I got to use the gifts that God's given me right now and where I'm at to continue to develop. Because I think we all look back 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and we're like, man, I wish I knew what I knew now, right? We should be doing that. That's a good thing. We should be looking back going, if I'd have known that, I'd have been better, because that means we've grown. That means we've learned and we're going in the right direction.
What is your morning routine? Is that the extent of it? Is getting in the Word, or is there a sequence?
I have a sequence. I do it every day, the same thing. First thing I do is I get up, I go straight to my sauna, and I get in the sauna, and I get in there for 20 minutes and I listen to God. And I talk to him as well, but I do a lot of listening. And, you know, what I've learned, man, is if I'm going to bring God into my life, if we're going to have a relationship, I've got to get still enough to listen to him. If I'm going to stay busy and go, do, I can get through a whole day and Davey's in control. Like, I'm doing what I want, when I want, how I schedule. If I can get still and have a conversation with God and bring him into my days. Now, I use the 3 R's to do this. This is the way I do it. Like, I think to me, prayer is extremely repetitious. It can be boring. It can be awkward. Like, it can be. Like, you can get stuck in the rut of saying the same prayer over and over and over again. So I use the 3 R's every single morning. The first one is reflect. Like, yesterday, what did I do, man? Like, what was my day? Walk me through my day. Like, I'm taking God through my day. So, for example, like, I'm getting up, like, you know, this morning, I go out, my sauna's on, I get in my sauna, I close my eyes, and I reflect on yesterday. What did I do? And for me, I traveled with my baby doll. I was thanking God for the time I had with my daughter. Like, we finished with a conversation with my daughter last night of things that I needed to pray about. Right? Like, because I'm reflecting, now I have things that I'm bringing, like, to God today that is in my life that are current things, as opposed to thank you for my children. I have specific things that are going on in my children's life to reflect on. The second R is repent. God, where did I mess up, man? I messed this up. I'm giving it to you. Like, that's very self-explanatory. The third one is repurpose. Okay, God, this is what I have today. I messed this up yesterday. I messed this up. This is what happened. Like, God, I have a meeting at 3:00. I have an interview. Will you please be in it? Like, I want you to be in it. Like, inviting God throughout your day, walking him through the day that you're going to have, and asking him to open doors, asking him to close windows, whatever that looks like. But that routine for me, it gets me with God. It gets God within my day. And then when I put his word into my body early in the morning, guess what? I put that here. Guess where it comes out? Right out of here. I put the word of God in my heart. It comes right out of my mouth all throughout the day. So that's how I get started every morning.
Yeah, this is under the broader the broader category, everybody, of discipline. And so to everyone that's a ministry leader out there, I think everyone can relate to this, that sometimes we let things go. And if you let it go once, it's just easier to let it go again. And so David's 3 R's, which is reflect, repent, and repurpose, you know, you don't need a sauna in your home to do this. So
No.
that's a really good reminder. And again, this is who we are called to be, and it's the mantle of leadership. And I think that's just a really good word. So thank you, David, for that. And so I would speculate, and I could be wrong here, that we don't have very many, if any, defensive players of the year and former or current NFL players in our listenership. Even so, I think it would be really interesting, David, to hear about the intersection of sports and faith. And I think that would be encouraging to those tuning into this episode.
I think it's awesome to watch the boldness of Christ now in faith, the boldness of saying the name of Jesus. There was a time when it was God, right? And it was kind of faux pas, because look, let's be honest, Christians are probably the most scrutinized, talked about group. Like, we're attacked a lot, and that's perfectly fine. I have no problem with that. I'm no problem with being attacked. Like, that doesn't bother me. But, you know, so to see the intersection now with players being so content and so happy to share their faith, it's awesome. Like, to be very specific on the field, it's awesome. To be bold, it is awesome. Like, when you're in a sports culture, most of the time you have FCA. Most of the time you have a team chaplain. Like, you have so many areas of your life that you get to, do with your buddies in a church setting, the team chaplains, right? Those guys are so awesome. So I think faith is a huge part of sport, developing closeness as a team and togethership and getting to know people and having bonds. Like, those are all things that are really, really big. But I'm encouraged, man. I'm really encouraged of watching how people have been so outward with their faith and unashamed. Like, that's so awesome to see, because here's the thing. Here's the bottom line. We don't live a rigid, restricted life. We live a liberating and free life in Jesus. Like, it's not a rough set of rules, man. It's flipping awesome. Like, it is cool. It is fun. It's fun to do. And we got a God that like meets us in our needs, that when we mess up, he's not trying to squash us. He's trying to help us. He's trying to build us back up. And so I think anytime we get to share that, and sports just brings out a lot of opportunities to get a microphone in front of you when people want to listen.
You referenced team and camaraderie, and there's something about sports. Bill Curry at Kentucky referred to it as the fellowship of the miserable. There's something about going through adversity that really draws people together, right? And I think that works, particularly maybe in football more than any of the other, more popular sports that are out there. But for group leaders, but also church staff and ministry leaders, David, how would you counsel these leaders in prioritizing group members and family appropriately? You know what I'm saying? So it's built in the context of team. I mean, it's ready made. Sometimes we've got to go find it and create it. How would you counsel like ministry leaders to create I'm not asking people to be miserable, of course, but it's that bond that you just described.
Yeah. Well, it's creating opportunity for vulnerabilities and vulnerableness. Like, it's creating opportunities for honesty. Like, and that's why I talked about earlier in the group, like, that's why I like to share my failures. Like, understanding, like, this is a safe space. This is a place of accountability. This is a place where, like, we understand we're not perfect and we don't expect you to be, right? Like, we're not expecting that from you. So I think when you can create an atmosphere like that, man, an atmosphere of encouragement, not condemnation, an atmosphere of acceptance, not rejectance, right? Like, I think those are great things. Teams naturally do that. But as a leader, you've got to figure out ways to ask questions and to get into people's lives so they will share, so you'll get to know them. Otherwise, they're going to tell you what you want to hear with a blank stare. And you're not really getting into the meat or the crux of some of the things, the root of the problems that need to be solved, right? So those are important things, man, when you're building these relationships. And, how do you find ways to ask questions, to delicately pry into people's lives, to get them to talk, to get them to feel comfortable? How do you create that environment? Is it going into movies? Is it like, or to arcades or bowling, or, how do you do that? It's not in a setting that's rigid and rugged and like, oh, like, this is weird. Everybody's looking at me. Like, how can you alleviate some of that? Maybe get one-on-one, get 2-on-2, like stuff like that.
And this idea of finding ways, there's no shortcut. Life doesn't call time out and say, all right, I'm going to give you these times. You've got to go claim that time to find those ways. You've got to build out that intentional relational time. And it seems like for group leaders and ministry leaders, that's even more important than in other walks of life. But I wonder, honestly, how often it happens. I think sometimes we rally around that group meeting Wednesday night, Thursday night, Saturday, Tuesday morning, and kind of glad I got through that. That was good, wasn't it?
Or you cram for it,
yeah.
Like, that's like, I'm reading my thing I need to read for it. But yeah, and then you lose some of the point of this is to live it every day, right? Like, the point of this is to be, obviously, and creating those rhythms, creating those habits. Those are things that are you driven. Like, you decide, like, but your alignment, your alignment in which way you're going. Like, those are things that every day that you have a chance to line up and do that. And that's where the rhythms you create and the habits you create, the friendships you create. Like, I have a lot of buddies, man, we're going through different books, like, hey, let's go through James in the Bible. Hey, let's go through John in the Bible. Hey, let's read this book together and just, send thoughts back and forth. Let's read a chapter a day, like, create those things in those accountability partners. Because listen, Jesus could have done it alone. He didn't. So if you don't think you need people, you're wrong. Like, you're going to need people to help you stay on the straight and narrow. But here's the thing, you need the right people. Don't hang out with people that have a bad marriage and expect them to care about your marriage. If they don't care about their marriage, they don't care about your marriage, right? Like, making sure we're spending the time with the right people that are pouring into us, and then obviously people that we're pouring into. But what you're listening to, praise and worship versus podcast versus other things. How do you create those rhythms and things that really bless you, that help you be the best version of you?
That term "you driven" I think is really good, by the way. But this is where that texting yourself idea, because you can at night you can do a self assessment and then text yourself goals for tomorrow, and then you can time it. Most, I guess, all phones, but I know most iPhones now, you can set that text to send at whatever time you want. It can almost be an alarm. So
You
the
can
first thing
delay
you
it.
look at is what
Yep.
you want. All right. So this whole idea of intentional relationship and the challenges, particularly with the culture we live in, that's something to overcome. That's not an excuse. But I think this is particularly true of men, in my opinion. There's a lot that could be said and a lot that is being said about the state of men. So give us a snapshot of men's discipleship in today's world as you see it. In particular, like what are we as ministry leaders and our listeners, what could we be missing, and the needs that you think should be addressed sooner than later, like in the crisis moment that we might live in.
Well, we need men. I think Joby Martin's his new book is really good. Stand firm and act like men, and talks really good. In the beginning, it talks about like having the like God put a will for us in him, for him, like to know him. God wanted us to work, and God gave us a woman, right? So like a bunch of different things that kind of start to align up. But like, if we're going to be men and we're going to lead, which is what we've been asked to do, it's what we've been called to do. If we're going to lead, that requires effort. That requires intention. That requires motivation. That requires sacrifice. That requires giving up things that you want to do. It might be guy time. It might be other stuff that you really, really like to do. Video games. It's stuff you like to do. You have a job. You have a responsibility. And so if you are married, your responsibility obviously changes. When you have kids, your responsibility changes. But your responsibility is to God. Your responsibility then is to your spouse. And then your responsibility is to your kids. Like, it's in that order. Like, it can't be kids second, like which seems to happen a lot. So I think, men have to understand, like, we're the leader we've been called. Men's words weigh more whether you like it or not. Like, mama's words are important and they're awesome. They might weigh 500 pounds, but dad's words weigh 1,000. We were given a deep voice. We were given big size most of the time, bigger size and intimidation for a reason, right? Like that's part of our DNA and part of our makeup. And so I think accepting responsibility for your family, accepting responsibility for your bride and how you're leading them, that's what a man does. A man does that consistently, and a man accepts when they fail, because we're going to fail as well, and we're going to fail them. And I think it's important to show them that we're going to fail. And how do we handle that? Like, my son, it's really cool. My son's 17, man. I'm really enjoying like walking through life with him, and situations are coming up all the time. And like his girlfriend the other day, he was talking about his girlfriend, and they were downtown Nashville with their mom and dad, and there's some kind of altercation, and her hair gets grabbed, and he was like, "What would you do if you were there?" And I was like, "Well, my job as a man, buddy, is to protect you. Like, that's my job. My job is to protect my family." And I was like, so he's like, "Would you have started fighting?" I was like, "No, no, no, no. I didn't say fight. I said to protect my family. My job is not to pour gasoline on an altercation. My job is to pour cold water. Like, my job is to keep you safe no matter what, like, and get you out of situations that are really, really tough." But like, men are going to listen. Here's what I've learned about women. If men don't step up and lead, women will. Women will. Women will step up and get grown people stuff done. They will absolutely get it done. But men, you have been called to lead. You have been called to be the head of your household. So, that's a challenge that you shouldn't take lightly. That despite what's going on in your world and what responsibilities you have, just prioritize the ones that are the most important that we just talked about. Not providing, a job is not number one. It shouldn't be number one.
So David, let's talk about that 17-year-old. Like I think we all understand responsibility for the married man, you know, it has children and a wife and career and job. So what about that 17-year-old or 15-year-old? You know, those that might be in student ministry that are listening, those that have parents of teens, sons. What about those guys? What counsel do you have in that regard?
Pray. I mean, parenting's the hardest thing you'll ever do. I think it's the hardest job that it's the most rewarding and it's the best. I'm raising adults. I'm not raising children, right? Like I'm not trying to be my kids' best friends. And I don't necessarily even care if they like me all the time. That's not like the job. My job is to make sure that they understand the things that are important and we're living that out. It's not to tell them, it's to show them. I see better than I hear, right? Like more is caught than taught any day of the week. And, for example, if I'm a parent, sports is really an awesome thing, but it's taken a place in our society where it owns your weekends. It owns your Sundays. No, no, no. That's not going to happen in my house. Like we're going to church. That's what we do. That's my job as a parent. Like I'm supposed to show you what the most important thing is, not tell you. I said, show you. When you tell them church is important and then go to basketball, you're showing them basketball is more important than God. Like that's exactly what we're showing them, right? Like we need to show them the importance that sport is important, but it takes a back seat to church. And this is the most important thing. So parenting is about like it's not easy, like I said, and different ages, different stages. And I'd be lying if I said every kid was the same. Every kid's not the same. Like I got two that one's from Venus, one's from Mars, right? Like it's totally different, getting to know their personalities and who they are and what they need, man. But I think the most important thing you can do as a parent is love your spouse in a great way, because that's a great model for them to show what it's going to look like in the future. It's a huge model. Obviously, loving God is important. It's the most important thing, number one. But they're watching how you carry yourself. But it's tough. It requires consistency. It requires being different. It requires having conversations like, I know your friend's parents let you do this. That's not our rules. And that's not fun. Like my son with his girlfriend, man, like we have the 1/3 rule. Like 1/3 of the weekend is for family. 1/3 can be for friends. 1/3 can be for your girlfriend. We're not seeing our girlfriend every day of the weekend. It's not the way it works, bud. That's not what we're doing. And, he doesn't like that. He doesn't understand it, like curfew, stuff like that. But like we want to be different. We want to create healthy boundaries. We want to have conversations about different things that are really, really important. So parenting is not a one size fits all. It's hard, but it just requires consistency and just like everything else we've been talking about, intentionality.
What David is saying there, there's a lot of wise counsel there, but really, when you get right down to it, it can't be overstated the importance of the appropriate prioritization. And I think we could all get that. We all get that answer right on the test. That's not really the ultimate filter. How you're living your life and what your behavior would indicate are your priorities, and your decisions would indicate about your priorities. That's where we're scored. So all of that is really good. It's a good segue into a question about adversity, David. So you've had your portion of adversity, different and more public, but not unlike a lot of people experiencing adversity. So I would just ask you, what lessons have you learned about navigating these seasons that are sure to come? And what lessons have you learned from those around you? Like who has had the most impact?
Man, adversity is the best teacher, isn't it? Like it's so awesome. It's so needed.
If you let it. If you let it.
I mean, no, it's going to be whether you like it or not. I mean, whether you like it or not, you're going to, you know why? Because you're going to keep getting it. You're just going to keep getting it. It's going to be self-inflicted, whether you want to whether you want to make some changes and take things for what it needs to be taken for, or else you're going to continue to inflict it on yourself, I think, more than you probably need to. But like, there's some things in life God's going to take us around and allow and protect us from. But there are a certain number of things, man, God's got to take us right through it. And I can tell you this from our adversities, man, like the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. I never do that more than when I'm hurting. Then something hurts deep in here. And I go through my days just like a lot of y'all, man. And like the more good things happen, the more we continue. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I'm in control. I'm in control. I'm in control. Something goes bad. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Yep. Right. I'm not in control. Right. Like it's those good reminders that, that we aren't in control, that things are difficult. It's a good reminder. We don't deserve to be happy. We don't deserve to have great things that we want all the time. Like, it's not what we deserve, right? So I think, adversity shows us that. It makes us appreciate those other moments more. The good thing about adversity, too, I love is it develops empathy and sympathy in your life for people that you would have never had, right? Like, when you go through that hard moment, man, you know what someone else is going through, and it gives you such credence to speak into that in somebody else's life. Like, I've been through that. I understand exactly what you're going through, man. Went through it with my wife 5 years ago. Went through it with my kid 5 years ago, right? Like, I know exactly what you're going through. God used that as a season in our life to get us through it, to get here. But I think the most important thing to understand about adversity, though, is God says he wants to prosper us and make us successful. God says he is for us, not against us. God says he wants good things for us in every situation. So there is nothing wasted. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's wasted. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not purposeful. And so how do we take lessons, not losses, right? How do we fail forward? How do we continue? If you fail a class in school, you have to take it again, right? Like, if we want to continue to do the same thing over and over again, we'll continue to have a lot of bad results, right? Like, unless we make some changes and we like, all right, I see it. Like, I need to take accountability. Like, this is something that I keep tripping up with that keeps causing me to stumble, that I've got to address. And so adversity is just one of the best teachers, man.
Yeah, and some of the conversations I've had with my daughters, who are now 31 and 28, but when they were growing up, particularly through the undergraduate years at the University of Tennessee, I remember telling Skylar, the youngest, sometimes, Skylar, we just have to let the hard things be hard. You don't, like what you said, you don't end around it. You're being called into this. And yeah, it's hard to just name it. I had a mentor tell me one time that we tend to embrace the shame, to your point, embrace the shame and reject the pain. But if Jesus is our model, we reject the shame and embrace the pain. And that's exactly what you're saying, is accept that call into that adversity so that it can be the teacher. Because I do think that we will short circuit what God wants to do is endeavoring to do in our lives by calling us into that adversity through various means these days. But David makes a real good point. You may think you're getting around it, but all you're doing is compounding that problem. So it's really good word there. I would ask you, I referenced it earlier. So the book, Every Day Counts, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. So David, what's the inspiration behind this book? Just talk to us a little bit about that.
I think one of the things, first of all, I had no desire to share the good things in my life. It was all about sharing the adversities and the struggles and some of the things that were really hard. But just to show you that God shows up and God shows out and uses your worst, quote unquote, worst moments, and it still glorifies him and it still makes you better. And it still reveals things to you, man, that are so awesome that you're appreciative for later. And every day counts is a motto. Every day counts. Like, I equate it to driving in the car, man. When you're in the car, like, if you look too much out the windshield and you're always forward thinking, we're not in the moment. We're not living today, right? And then when we look, sometimes some of us look in that rearview mirror and it's shame and it's guilt and it's faults and it's things we wish we would have done. Like, we want to live in the car, man. We want to live in the moment. We want to be great where we're at and really excel and bloom where we're planted, right? And thrive where we're at. So I think it's just a mindset of that. A lot of people preaching on Sunday sermons, and I'm like, this is so amazing. But if I don't have takeaways, man, it's really hard for me to follow. And it's really hard for me to take those next steps. So kind of formulating an identity of everyday counts and how to do it. And I didn't know I had done this throughout my life. I kind of started to realize it later on, like, oh, wait a minute. Like, when I got to college, that's kind of what I did, right? In my position groups. And this is how I actually did it. And so, I think if we can adapt a mindset of fighting for today and being great today and enjoying today, tomorrow usually takes care of itself.
So tell us a little bit about the 50-40-10 rule without giving away everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's 50% of people you can show up in this life and whatever you do and you can outwork them. 50%, man. Show up with a good attitude, you can outwork them. 40% you can out detail. And when I say out detail, out organize, out strategize, as a football player, like it was getting the cold tub, it was getting the hot tub, the cryotherapy, eat good foods, get good sleep. Like, maximize my body so my body will perform for me. Watch tape so I can study and be ahead of the play before it's even happened, right? So like it's out prepare, it's out detail.
Like life
And then
strategy. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
100%. Like,
Yeah.
it's again, it's one thing to show up with a good attitude, work really hard. That's 50%, right? 40% out detail, out strategy. And then the last 10%, man, who can take the shots and keep moving forward? Like, who can accept I'm going to fail, I'm going to mess up, but I'm not going to let it deter me. Like, I'm going to keep moving forward. And if I get a no in business, I'm waiting for the yes. I'm going to go get me a yes, right? Like that's and that's my corporate, business, high achiever, competitive person way of modeling something I think where you can really understand it and compartmentalize what it takes to go be great.
There's a leadership lesson there too in the 50-40-10. So it's not just a life application. I don't mean just dismissively, but as a group leader, as a ministry leader, guess what? You're going to take some shots. I mean, sometimes it's a literal shot. Sometimes it's just a bad day. A bad ministry day can have a profound impact. I would dare say that the same is true of any job, but the ministry, to be a ministry leader and a group leader is just such a personal endeavor, David. So, that 10%, just knowing, and I really like the idea of just looking at yesterday, the reflect part. So reflect, repent, and repurpose in that same context. So you're like, yep, today wasn't great. Wasn't great for
Why?
these reasons.
Why wasn't it great?
Yeah.
Yes. Why? So it's not just repeat, right? Like if we just say today sucked and we don't know why, like we need to know why. We need to know where we missed the mark. And so how we can try to, implement strategies where we don't do it again.
And that's that quiet you talked about. Only in that quiet can you really receive that kind of correction, counsel, insight, whatever it is that the Spirit's revealing to you. So it's all of those things. So one last question. So David, this is because you're out and about, you're around a lot of people, you're in churches, you're in group life. As you survey our current cultural moment, this cultural moment, where do you see God moving?
I mean, I see God moving everywhere. I mean, I am definitely one of those people that I feel like I see more of his movement more and more than I did before, and more people, willing to share, more people willing to, I love the fact that social media, like everybody has a microphone, right? Everybody's got a camera, so you have an opportunity to share what's important to you, what's not important to you. You get to learn and educate. And so I see God moving all over the place, man. I see him moving in young people. I think in young people, you're seeing more faith. Athletes, you're seeing more faith, like more boldness in young people, more, willingness to be baptized, more willingness you see the praise and worship. You see it all over the place, but God's on the move for sure. And I like being a part of it. And listen, we're commanded to be a part of this, guys. Like God didn't say, when you get time, please share me. Like he commanded us to share his word, to share. I had somebody challenge me with this a couple years ago. And you talk about getting slapped upside your grill right in the face. Somebody asked me, if everyone you prayed for this last week, if every prayer you prayed this last week, how many people would enter the kingdom of heaven? And it was really sad because this was like 2 or 3 years ago. And my answer was 0. Like I wasn't even currently praying for someone to accept the best gift that they've ever been given in their life, that would change their life, would change their eternity. And so like being very cognizant of that and thinking about that and seeking those opportunities. I like that we're having more boldness. I like that we have access to people at a higher rate with social media. My challenge is, how do we use it for good? Because God can use it for good. God can use all things for good, even social media, which I don't necessarily care for that much. It can be used for good.
So again, that's an opportunity. Sometimes when we have those moments, we can just fold and say, "Man, I'm just not getting it done." And that's again where that reflect comes in, because that's not the goal of a convicting question, confrontive question like that. And not only should we receive that well from those closest to us, we should be asking those things of ourselves. And that is beyond even being a ministry leader.
No doubt.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Group Answers Show. Again, the book is Everyday Counts. And if you enjoyed this, you can find David Pollack about any time you want with a quick search on iTunes. because David's the co-host of a couple of podcasts. One is family oriented, and one is just it's you and Pastor Jay just kind of talking about life, right?
Yes, family goals is me and Pastor Jay talking about helping families like make goals, create goals, talk about attacking youth league sports and all the different things that are going on. And then the other one is see ball, get ball. You can see that behind me. That's just college football. If you like football, come on in. You're not going to hear gambling. You're not going to hear profanity. You're not going to hear any promotion of stuff that isn't what we believe in and what we align in. It's just college football, NFL football, a little bit, and just ball and fun.
Well, thanks for being with us, David. You've got a lot going on, so appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thanks, brother.
Also, shout out to producer Angie Elkins and engineer or executive producer Nikki Ogden, without whom we could not do this. Thanks for hanging in there with us. It's going to wrap it up for this episode, and we will see you on down the road. This episode of Group Answers Podcast was brought to you by our team, executive producer Angie Elkins, producer Nikki Ogden, edited by Donnie Gordon. All episodes are recorded at my personal studio in Evergreen, Colorado with the help of Riverside FM. Artwork by Lauren Irvin. And I'm your host, Brian Daniel. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Group Answers Podcast.